Hello there, welcome to Craft with Fee, and welcome to week 9 of our Woodland Tilda fabric stitch along. So this week we are going to be using a flex frame. Now if you bought the accessory kit you will have a 15 centimetre, which is a 6-inch flex frame in your kit. If you don't have a flex frame you can purchase them from the store, feefeandme.com. We have them in 3 different sizes, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. I'm a little bit addicted to flex frame purses, and I have been for a long time. They are just fantastic. They're so easy to make, and once you've made one you can think of all the different possibilities that you can do with them. I desperately needed a new eyeglass case, and I'm going to show you the one that I made myself today. But first off, I just wanted to show you the different flex frames that we have in store. So we have a 3-inch, a 4-inch and a 6-inch. Now, there is also a download that you can purchase, which can also be purchased as a paper pattern, which is a overall pattern which will tell you how to make all 3 of these sizes. So, what we're going to do is show you the ones that I have already made, but then we're going to go and make one of the 6-inch ones on camera, which is going to be a pieced one. The one that I'm going to show you is a pretty simple one. So let me start off by showing you the one that I've made with the 3-inch. These come in a pack of 2, by the way, but I've obviously used one from this pack. But this is the beautiful little eyeglass case that I made for myself. This has got my spare glasses in here. So it just flips open like that. That's what a flex frame is. Now it looks complicated, it's not. And I know that you hear me say that a lot, but I promise it's not too difficult, it's quite easy. Now the pattern pack does come, as I said, with the instructions on how to make a flex frame purse for all 3 size frames, but it also has 2 little stitcheries inside the pattern as well that you can stitch. And I've done them in little circles here. This is the next size up, this is the 4-inch. So you can see that's my purse there. And this is my gorgeous little stitchery, the little bird. So 3-inch and a 4-inch, that's the 4-inch, and that's the 3-inch. And I've made a very simple plain 6-inch one. I've just made it with that gorgeous Woodland scene fabric because it's gorgeous. I'm going to use this for a sewing purse. I'll keep all my sewing bits and pieces in there because once you let go, it snaps back so that you get instant closure and nothing falls out. Now this one is using a different flex frame. It's using the flex frame with the loops on the top here. I'll show you how to do that quite successfully. But the one that we're going to be doing on camera, as I mentioned before, is going to be pieced. So let's get to it. Now don't forget that I will pop the links down below for you to be able to get the patterns and also the flex frame, so don't worry about writing that down. All the measurements that I'm mentioning in the video will also be in that download, so you don't need to worry about that as well. Now you're going to need 2 pieces of parlan, which is a fusible wadding, and they need to be 6 inches by 9 inches, okay? Then you're going to need a piece of your main fabric, which is 6 inches by 9 inches. You're also going to need a scrap piece of matching fabric because we're going to be making a couple of hexagons, so we'll just pop that aside. But for the front of the purse, we're going to need to piece that, and we're going to need a piece which is 4 inches by 6.5. I'm then going to use a piece of natural hanky linen, which is 3 inches by 6.5. And then I've got a second piece of my main fabric, which is also 3 inches by 6.5. So I'm going to join all 3 of those together. And then I'll come back and we'll talk about the lining. Okay, so they're all sewn together, the 3 of them. So we've got the larger piece is going to be the top, and that's the middle obviously, and this is the bottom. Now I have fused the parlan to the back, and I've also fused the parlan to the back of our backing piece there. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make some hexagons. Now if you haven't done English paper piecing before, I'll give you a very quick crash course. I do have many videos on this, so you can go back through those if you want to have a look. But I'm using a 1-inch hexagon for this. And all I'm going to do is cut out around about 1/4 of an inch from the template, the paper. Okay. And we'll do the same with the other one in a moment. I'll just do this one on camera for you. So I use glue. It's a water-soluble glue, and it makes hexagons super simple to do. Okay, so what I like to do is to do one side first and then I do the opposite side to make sure that you've got the right tension. Now you don't want to use a whole lot of glue because you need to be able to remove this, and you need to go a little bit out from the edge because when you go to sew these together you don't want to gummy up your needle with glue, which will happen if you go too close to the edge. Okay, so just simply fold it over with your hands and then you'll get that nice crisp edge against the cardboard. And there you go. And then you have a hexagon. So what you do once you've got two hexagons is we're going to join them together. And we're going to join them together with a thread, a polyester bottom line thread is what I like to use. But you can use any type of white thread. And you just whip stitch them together. And I'm just going to get this one done so that I can show you. Now I do have lots of videos also on how to take out the papers from this, but what you essentially do is take it over to the ironing board and you give it a nice hot iron. Use steam because the steam has got water in it and the water will help to loosen that glue. And then you are going to lift the paper out. Now I'm going to do that in a moment for you so I can show you, but first off I just want to show you quickly how to whip stitch them. So what you do is you put it together, your hexagons together with the right sides facing. You get them nice and even. You can use a clip if you wish, but then you're essentially just going to get your needle and thread and you're just going to whip. You're going to go through that side and out this side and then back through that side, out this side. You're just going to whip it all the way along. Okay? And then you will open it out and you will have two hexagons joined together like that. So I'm just going to go over and steam one of these so I can show you how to take the paper out. Okay, so I have ironed this with a hot steamy iron, and imagine that we have the two of them together, and it is a lot easier to do them when they are sewn together. When you're doing a single shape, it's not quite that simple. But what you're going to do is you're going to lift the fabric away from the cardboard. Okay, and whilst you're doing that, you're going to try and keep the integrity of the shape. You can see that I'm just trying to pick it up, and I might have had a little bit too much glue on there, but that's okay, we can fix that. So you just keep peeling it away. There we go. And then you take it back to the iron and then press it back down again, all the way around. And then you have the shape cemented into that fabric. It's melded into that shape. And then all you simply do is just lift the cardboard out. Okay? So then you have your shape. Now I have gone ahead and done that just to save on time for the video. So this front of my purse is spare. I've actually gone ahead and sewn my two hexagons together. I have then blind stitched them to the background. So how I found the middle was I just folded my piece in half, and then the middle of the hexagons there I just lined up so that I know that I've got them in the middle. Okay, now if you bought the accessory kit, you have a little crown brooch in that set. We're going to use that in the middle of these hexagons to finish off our purse, but for those of you that don't, you can put a button there, you can put whatever you want. It looks a bit plain without anything, I believe, so it's up to you. Now you can see that I have chain stitched around the shapes just to give it a bit of definition. That's entirely up to you as well. Okay, so now we're going to start to put this little purse together. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the right side of our purse front with the right side of our purse back, and we're going to lay them together. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we are going to measure 2.5 inches from the top. Okay, so I might just turn it off to the side because it'll make it a little bit easier. So we're just going to measure 2.5 inches from the top, and make sure that you do have the top so that you have your larger piece of fabric here at the top. So just double check that, and then rule a line on the parlan side 2.5 inches from that top edge. Okay, Then you're going to take your 2 pieces of lining. Now these are the same measurement as the back. They are 9 inches by 6.5, and you've got them with the right sides facing. I'm using a seeded fabric here. It's a quilter's homespun, and it's in a seeded cream. It's a really, really nice one, and it matches that fabric beautifully. Now I'm going to do exactly the same thing here. I'm going to measure 2.5 inches from the top, and I'm just going to rule a line. But the difference is that I'm actually going to, on one side, I'm going to make a mark 2 inches from that line, and then 2 inches from there. So I've got a 2-inch gap. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew all the way along here, and then I'm going to stop. Then I'm going to start down here, and I'm going to sew all the way down here. Okay? Then I'm going to sew across the bottom, and then I'm going to sew all the way up at the top, and I'm going to stop at that line there that we made at the 2.5 inch mark. Okay? Then with this piece here, I'm going to sew from the 2.5 inch mark all the way down the body of the bag, all the way across the bottom, and then all the way along here as well, up to that line. So I'll go and do that, and then we'll come back. Okay, all done. So what we're going to do is just clip the corners on both. We're just going to pop our thumbnail over the stitching just to make sure that we don't trim back too far and cause a little hole in the corner. That's the last thing we want to do, seeing we've come this far. Okay, so take the piece that has the parlan on it, which is your main outer fabric, and turn it to the right side. Okay. Now you might need something to poke those corners out with. Let me grab my trusty paintbrush. Okay, so we'll just poke them out. Now at this point we've got something that looks like this. Okay, so you've got these open bits here at the top, and you've got your purse front. Take it to the ironing board and give it a nice press. And as you will see by pressing it, you're giving yourself some nice crisp edges to work with. You've got those nice crisp corners as well, and it looks very finished and professional. Okay, we're going to fold it in half. And then we're going to take our piece of lining. So we have our hole in the side where we're going to turn it, but we're going to open up these flaps here, and we're going to place our bag outer into the inner. Okay, so then you can unfold it so that you have it nice and flat, so that it's nice and neat sitting inside the lining, just like that. And then you'll see that you have the raw edge here of the outer of the purse and the raw edge of your lining. And so what you're going to do is you're going to grab some clips, and you're just going to clip across the top here. Okay, we'll do the same on the opposite side. So line it all up so it's nice and neat. Just might have to do a little bit of manoeuvring. Now, of course, you can put a stitchery in on that panel on the front of the purse. You can pop on there whatever you wish. So the instructions in the pattern give you the instructions to make a purse all one size, but it also gives you the instructions to make this pieced one as well. So you can choose. Okay, so we now have the 2 tops of our purse here clipped, and we're going to take it to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew across there, and we're going to sew across there. And there we go, it's all sewn across the top. So when you open it out, you can see there that you've got these little bits folded over. They are from where you stopped and started before. So what we're going to do is we're going to press that out, and we're going to pop a clip in it. Okay? And then we're going to pop a clip in the top. And we're going to do the same on the opposite side here. And then we're going to do the same over on this side. And then we're going to sew down each one of these sides separately. So we're not going to sew all the way through as you might think you will. You're just going to sew each side separately. So we're going to sew from here right through to that point where we stopped and started before. Then we're going to cut it off, cut the thread off, and then we're going to start again, and we're going to start on this side here, and then we're going to come all the way back down to this point, and we're going to do it on all 4 pieces. Okay, all done. So this is what I call the tongue of the flex frame. So you'll see that you've got these 2 flappy bits here now that are sewn. What we're going to do is we're going to turn it all through that 2-inch hole that we've left in the side there. 2 inches is quite substantial to pull it through. You shouldn't have too much issue at all. So start pulling through the bulky part of the main part of the purse to begin with, and then you can pull through the lining. Now, of course, you will need to use a pokey tool to get those corners out, and you will also need to poke out the tongues at the top of the purse. So first thing we do is to poke the corners of the lining out. Okay, so that's 1 and that's 2. That's our bottoms of our lining. And now you will need to pop your finger in there and just push through the tongues so that you can get the lay of the land of where they sort of are, and then you can use your pokey tool just to get them through properly. Okay, there we go. So that is our first one there, and then we have our second one. Okay, so we're now going to take this over to the ironing board, and we are going to iron the opening nice and flat, and then we're going to stitch it down on the machine. Whilst we're at the ironing board, we're also going to give both of these tongues a bit of a press. And there we go. So we have our closed lining, and then we have our tongues pressed. So, sounds like a dish, doesn't it? Pressed tongues. Okay, so we're going to push the lining into the body of the bag. Purse, I should say. I keep saying bag. I suppose it is bag-sized purse. It's very handy sized, I know that. Okay, so we can use our pokey tool here once again, and we can poke that in. So we have our nice lining. Okay, so there you have something which looks like this. So what we're going to do is we are going to take one side of our tongue and we are going to fold it over as far as it'll go. And you can see there that we're going to fold it down to meet where we stopped and started sewing. So there, okay? We're going to pop a clip on there. And we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side, and you'll be able to see that it's nice and straight. Okay? Now you can take it to the ironing board and just cement in that line across here to make sure that you've got it nice and straight. You will find that it is a lot easier if you do that. But what we're going to do is we're going to take it over to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew about a 1/8 of an inch in from this edge here, all the way along, okay? And what you're essentially doing is making a channel through here. So then we're going to do the same on the opposite side, and you will essentially end up with something that looks like this, with a channel on either side. Okay, so you now should have something that looks a little bit like this. So you have your purse, which has a totally finished inside. You have your channels all sewn down, and then you have the outside of your purse. Now at this point we're going to decorate it, so I'm just going to be using a little brooch, and it's just simple clipping on of the brooch. So I'm just going to pop that onto the front there. Oh, that looks cute. Super, super cute. Okay. Okay, so now it's time to insert the flex frame. Now, flex frames come with a couple of different types of inserts. You can get a single pin. It's all the same, really. But when you're using a single pin, and you'll see that in the pattern, I've got some photographs there for you, you will see that you turn over this tiny little edge here just to seal off the top. With this type of one, we're going to bend it over, and we are going to put it on the inside of our flex frame here, okay? So what we're going to do first off, and this is a step that you might like to skip if you wish, but I've found in my experience of making these, and I've made lots and lots of them, that it's not worth the heartache. So I mentioned this in one of my videos previously, that this metal thing here is really quite sharp, and it doesn't mix well with fabric. It clings to fabric. It grabs on and it finds itself a little piece of cotton and it won't thread through. It just becomes a nightmare. It's easy fixed. All you need to do is to grab some sticky tape or some washi tape, and I'm using washi tape, which tears off beautifully. And I'm just going over those rough edges just once, just around once, and I'm going to do it on all 4 pieces. Super, super simple. And it is truly worth the time to do that. So sticky tape works just as well, but what it does is it makes a smooth surface for you to work with, because as much as the manufacturer has done a wonderful job making these beautiful flex frames for us, they have left us with a factory finish. So no matter which way you look at it, they're going to be difficult to thread through, so just make it easy on yourself. Okay, so you have these 2 channels here, and what you need to do now is to open up your frame, and you'll see that your top of your pin, which is the little section I showed you before, is on this side, or in this case you've got your loop there, and that is your side that you have already got anchored. So then you have your 2 open sides. You're going to thread them through, one on each side of the channel. Now why isn't that one going in there nice and neatly? There you go. Play nicely, thank you. And then you need to pop the other one in at the same time. Now you can't thread one through and then go back and try and thread the other, because they need to go through together at the same time. Okay, so all you need to do then is just to keep pushing. So push them all the way through until they come out the other end. Now you might need a pair of pliers or a pair of scissors just to help pull through that last little section here on the end. But if you've used tape or washi tape, it will make that process super, super easy. And you will see that you will get your 2 arms that'll come out there, just like that. So what you need to do is to pop those 2 sides together. Now if you've got a single pin, you can just pop the single pin through there, through that hole. You will see that there's a hole here that goes through 3 sections, the 3 parts of the hinge when they go together, okay? Or if you've got this funny looking pin here, it's the same process. You're just going to pop it through there, and you'll see that it locks itself in place. Super, super easy, okay? So then, if you've got just the normal single pin, it's now time to get your pliers and turn over the piece of metal at the top so that your pin can't come out. But in this case, we are going to fold up the bottom of our pin like that, and then we are going to open out our frame, and then we are going to fold over the top of that pin. Whoops. Just 1 second. My camera's playing up. 1 sec. Keeps telling me it has low battery. Okay. So then we're going to get this piece of the pin here, the head of the pin, so to speak, and then we're going to fold it over down into the inside of the purse, in between where the flex frame hinges, okay? So you'll see there that I've bent it over down into there. And then all you need to do is to push your fabric back onto your frame, and then we're going to go back to that original hinge at the start, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to push the circle at the top together, just like that, okay? And then we are going to fold it over and down. And you can hear that rain, hopefully. It is pouring with rain here. Okay, so that's on the inside there now. And we can just fold over the end as well, just to give us a nice neat finish. Just use your pliers. There we go. Okay, so that, my friends, is your flex frame finished. Look at that. So to open up your flex frame, you just press the sides together like that, and then just let it go, and it snaps back to close. That's why it's called a flex frame, because it flexes open and then it closes. So there you go. That is your pieced flex frame. Now don't forget, there is a pattern in the store which will give you the instructions, the cutting instructions for a 3-inch, a 4-inch and a 6-inch, and it will also give you a couple of stitcheries that you might like to use on your flex frame. So here we go. So I have an abundance of them here now. I have my lovely glasses case, and then I have a medium-sized one, and then I've got a large one. So I hope that you've enjoyed today's tutorial, and next week, my friends, is the last one in the Woodland Stitch Along. I'll see you then. Bye for now.